Attention, international public notice. This is not a solicitation. This is an approved lawful notice from the American government. This international public notice is to inform you that the foreign United States government has criminally converted your political status from an American to that of a foreign citizen. How and why? What you are about to learn is the true American history that was removed from our public school system completely by 1974, and more history that has been hidden from you. Know that it was all intentional. Let's begin. Your birthright as an American is to live in peace and abundance, which includes a public inheritance and a private inheritance. We Americans are all sovereigns in our own right because of one man, William Belcher. William inherited sovereignty in his own right from William the Conqueror in 1087 AD, and you have inherited that same right from him. This special form of sovereignty attaches to everyone born on the land and soil of this country. Unknown to you, you have inherited both private and public sovereignty. This fact brings us to our first American history lesson that was hidden from you. Sovereignty in your own right grants absolute control over your own body and property, but nobody else's. We fought and gained our public sovereignty as a country and nation when we won the Revolutionary War. So we are a sovereign country ruled over by sovereign people. Many nations can occupy the same land and soil, and that is the situation here in America. A member of the Winnebago-Ho-Chunka Nation, born in Black River Falls, Wisconsin, has an automatic dual nationality status as both a Winnebago and as a Wisconsinite. They inherit their individual sovereignty from William Belcher, like any other American born on this land and soil, as their birthright political status. And they maintain their Winnebago identity as part of the Ho-Chunka Nation too, being their cultural and heritage. The colonists and some of the native nations fought together to gain America's independence from several tyrannical kings. The last American war was the War of 1812, and we have not waged a war on anyone since then. Native nations have been abused by the foreign United States government, who are our subcontractors, like all the rest of us. This is not the doing or fault of the actual state Wisconsin, nor is it the fault of the Ho-Chunka Nation either. Many of the eastern seaboard native nations, like the Lenape and the Delawares, had treaties with King George II prior to the Revolution that were not honored. This is because King George lost the Revolutionary War and skipped town without mentioning that he owed them a settlement in gold for not being able to keep his treaty agreements. The Western native nations, except in California, generally speaking, hadn't been involved in much contact or conflict with the colonists or the kings prior to the so-called Civil War. More on the Civil War later. Unfortunately, the so-called Civil War began the era when the British territorial U.S. Army, operating as the Bluecoats, caused so much devastation, and it led to the creation of the reservation system. Everyone concerned was violently defrauded, first by the king, avoiding his treaty obligations to the eastern native nations, and later by the British territorial U.S. Army running rampant over the western native nations. You can see why they wanted to keep this little piece of American history out of our school textbooks. I'm about to tell you some more hidden American history, and yeah, you best believe it was hidden on purpose too. Each one of us is owed money and prepaid credit we and our ancestors earned, but were never credited for and never paid. This money is coming back to us because we and our parents and grandparents have been charged taxes, mortgages, etc. that we never owed, and because the fiat money system was mismanaged in a way that has resulted in a large excess of prepaid credit being owed back to each one of us. That money and credit needs to be returned to you In addition, there are giant family trusts, like the Davila Family Estate and Trust, that's worth over $300 dodecallion alone, along with the St. Germain Family Trust, the V.K. Durham Trust, plus over 5,000 more, which were largely gifted to all peoples of the world. For example, the Avila funds are a bequest for a specific purpose, to break the chains of poverty and ignorance. This goal has been the same since 1520 AD, but dishonest trustees and wars and other things have prevented deployment of the funds for the specific purpose. The Avila Family Trust indenture hasn't been honored in over 500 years. It's time. These are the public and private inheritances that you don't know you have. Why were you not told? A 160-year-old criminal fraud scheme against you is still in progress, and that's why most of you don't know this. The criminal bankers who didn't return your money and credit, in collusion with the foreign United States government, are both standing in the way of these family trust funds being deployed worldwide. Think about it. Clean, abundant water is being delayed. Good organic food for everyone is being delayed. The end of paying taxes is being delayed. Universal access to sanitation, housing, education, medical care, and technology are being delayed. All this and more is being delayed by criminal government agencies and banks that have no rightful control or ownership interest in the money. We call that robbery and crimes against humanity. The Department of the Global Federal Reserve in Switzerland was supposed to sit down and negotiate the return and release of this gift money in 2005. They never came to the table. They know who the rightful heir is. They chose to ignore him. They stole these funds for their corporations and have misused them to promote war and misery for the past 20 years. All this criminal activity has to stop. You can help others and help yourself at the same time. First, correct your own political status so you are recognizable as an American again. And then join your local American State Assembly and push. These crooks are our employees. I know what you're thinking right about now. What do you mean? I am an American. And what do you mean by our employees? Okay, class is in session. Let's learn some more hidden on purpose American history. Your inheritance as an American is not the military flag and the fiat military script called a Federal Reserve Note, or FRN. It is actually the Civil Peace flag and the asset-backed American Federation dollar, or AFD. Most people don't know we have two flags, Open Gate for peacetime and Old Glory for wartime. And why not? How is it that America, our country, has been at peace since 1815, but the U.S. has been at war and declaring war on something every 2 years? Your government as an American is not the United States Governmental Services Franchise Corporations. It is actually the 50 unincorporated American states assemblies. Your nationality as an American comes from your state of the Union, not from raising your right hand. These are the 50 nationalities of the sovereign nation states of America. Which nationality are you? Americans don't live under a constitution as citizens. We live by the Declaration of Independence as sovereigns. You probably were not taught this American history, were you? Other words for citizen are employee, officer, subject, slave, and indentured servant. You were born a free man or woman with unalienable rights, but you were made into a bonded servant, then later into a slave by 2 birth registrations. The U.S. Governmental Services Corporations, acting in breach of their contracts, created those bonds. What contracts, you may ask? You probably know of 2 such contracts, the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the United States. That's right. These constitutions are contracts that we have with 2 corporations. the USA Inc. works for us, and the US Inc. works for us. The United States Governmental Services Corporations are our subcontractors, and we Americans and our American government are literally their employers. All this time, you thought they worked for you because you paid taxes. Nope, that's not the truth of the matter at all. Here's another important, little-known fact in American history. Those Davila trust funds I told you about, they fully funded government services for everybody. No more taxation was required or even needed for public services since 1941. All taxes since then went toward war reparations and as gifts to the British monarch and to the Pope, which they extorted as gift and estate taxes that you never owed. World War II forced the world to rebuild. So instead of relieving you from taxes, the Avila funds were diverted into the Marshall Plan and other efforts. These funds were loaned out for this purpose for 50 years and were supposed to have been repaid in 1995. But the due date came and went. The banks asked for and were granted a 10-year extension, with settlement due in 2005. But again, that date came and went too. We began hearing rumors in 2022 about global project funding from the U.S. military. They didn't tell you that this is where that funding was coming from, and that they were robbing the heir of the trust and ignoring the trust indenture again. The funds are not coming from the World Bank, not the Global Debt Facility, not any global collateral accounts, not from NASARA or JASARA, not from the World Trust, which was set up and provided by the family of our fiduciary for the United States of America Unincorporated. And they have bungled that beyond belief too. This is the U.S. military's way of sneaking in the back door. Don't let them know I stole it in the first place. Criminal attempt to put the money back. Yet they still continue to exercise non-consensual control over funds that don't belong to them. We told them no. Nowhere in your service contracts are you granted fiduciary authority to access any funds on our behalf. You also most likely don't know that they, acting in continual breach of contract, have authorized other criminal and fraudulent legal activities too. Oh, did you just think to yourself, how can it be both criminal yet legal at the same time? Yes, I thought so. Let me just identify a few of those criminal yet legal activities to help you better comprehend what they are doing. Number one, when you make a bank deposit, you think you are putting your money in the bank for safekeeping. But no, you are legally, although unknowingly, giving your money to the bank for safe having. Did you know that? Your money is now theirs every time you make a bank deposit. They can now legally use it for all of their so-called lending that they claim to be doing with their money. This is what you call semantic deceit. It's the name of their game, and it's legal. Not to mention that those Federal Reserve notes are not even money at all. Yeah, that's number two. Another criminal yet legalized racket they authorized. A Federal Reserve note is a promissory note, that is, an IOU. And because there is no due date and no specific form of repayment stated on it, it's not a negotiable instrument at all. Yet you have been forced to use it as money in exchange for goods and services. Now, class, can anyone give me the definition for inflation? Number three, our honorable American soldiery were turned into a paid foreign mercenary force. The War of 1812 was the last legitimately declared war. All wars following that, including the so-called Civil War, were and are not properly declared wars, just part of a saga of continual mercenary conflicts, i.e., wars for profit. Did I mean to say that the U.S. military is both criminal and legal? Yes, I did. Wars for profit, i.e., mercenary conflicts, are when presidents or CEOs of commercial corporations like the United States of America Incorporated hire trained soldiers to steal, kill, and maim as they devastate communities and economies for commercial gain. Tell me, What did those ancient artifacts you were ordered to confiscate on your first missions in the Iraqi war have to do with protecting America's freedom? Nothing. Soldiers, please read some real American history to learn what wars for profit are really about. That includes all wars since 1815. World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, Desert Storm, Afghanistan, Iraqi War, Libya, Yemen, Niger, Somali, Operation this and Operation that, war on this and war on that. I repeat, America is not at war. Our International Peace Proclamation has been declared across the land since 2017, and we have raised our peace flag for the first time in over 200 years. America has been at peace since 1815. It's the federal subcontractors, the USA Inc. and the US Inc. that have been the ones at war, or should I say, in continual commercial conflict. Number 4, a vast majority of taxpayers are volunteering to do so. If you are paying federal income taxes and are not a federal employee, then you are literally volunteering. If you don't work for and receive a check from the federal subcontractors, you probably have no federal income to tax. Were you told that your income tax payments are gifts that you are giving to the U.S. government? They say it right there in their own legal tax codes at 31 U.S.C. 321 D1 and D2. It states the federal income tax are gifts and estate taxes, which you are giving away. Remember what I said. All government expenses were paid for as of 1941. Every fire hydrant, every school, every airplane, every expense for government services or infrastructure throughout the entire planet was paid for as of 1941. You don't see corporate warmongering and crooked banks anywhere in that list, do you? Right about now, you need to be asking yourself, what does legal really mean? And what are these taxes that I've been paying actually paying for? Your money, your national defense, your labor, just to name a few, have all been latched upon by criminal foreign governmental services subcontractors. Latching is illegal and always has been, but by pretending to have a custodial trust interest, they got away with it. Why have they done this? For 2 primary reasons. To pay off their corporations' commercial debts and to fund their criminal yet legal activities. How would you like it if I impersonated you, committed credit fraud to get access to your credit, and paid off my house and Lamborghini loans? This would be you, blowing your top. Urgh! This is exactly what your employees have done to you. So what are you going to do about it? Marches and protests are for U.S. citizens. Declarations and assembling are for sovereigns. Think about the difference. Did we win our freedom or not? You must first know who you are. U.S. citizen, United States citizen, citizen of the United States, U.S. national, American national, state citizen. Have you forfeited your birthrights as an American state national? You know what America needs? A reformation? No. A reconstruction? That should have happened already, but didn't. Think again. A restoration? That's underway, but even more than that, a resurgence. Yes, that's the spirit we need. Let's continue with our American history lesson. Our organic 1776 Union of States constructed our national government, calling it the United States, being later changed to the capital T, United States in 1851. Then they constructed our international government, calling it the United States of America, an unincorporated federation of states. Wherever you see this trademark, know that it belongs to us. Our foreign subcontractor stole it. Without a circle denotes sovereign undelegated power. With a circle denotes enumerated delegated power by your sovereign American government which our U.S. government subcontractors abuse. And remember these flags? Both the civil flag and the Title IV military flag belong to us too. Here's another example of more subcontractor abuse of delegated powers. We did not authorize them to instigate commercial conflicts, i.e. wars for profit, all across the globe in our name. You see, there is a lot of hidden on purpose American history removed from our public schools and textbooks to make you wonder why. There was a third constitution that we hear nothing about. Our American government contracted with one American subcontractor and two foreign subcontractors, the British monarch and the Roman papacy, done under three separate constitutions. The American contract is called the Constitution for the United, lowercase u, States of America of 1787. It delegated limited authority to the American Federal Governmental Services Provider as a federal republic. The British contract is called the Constitution of the United, capital U, States of America of 1789. It delegated limited authority to the British Territorial Governmental Services Provider as a territorial democracy. The Roman contract is called the Constitution of the United States of 1790. It delegated limited authority to the Roman Municipal Governmental Services Provider as a municipal theocracy. Let me say it another way. Replace the word Constitution with the word contract, then read it like this. The contract for the United States of America of 1787. The contract of the United States of America of 1789. The contract of the United States of 1790. Do you comprehend the truth now? The constitutions are nothing more than service contracts to work for us. The for-hire military, the federal civil service, and the whole federal hierarchy are supposed to be here to provide us with 19 enumerated services as defined in those contracts. That's why we delegated enumerated powers to provide those services. However, it seems that they don't read very well because they have criminally breached, violated, and unilaterally added to the terms of our agreement. As their employer, how would you grade their performance card? A big fat F minus. We started out with 3, but only our foreign federal subcontractors remained in operation after 1861. Why did only they remain? Because they got rid of the competition. They attacked, murdered, or disbanded members of our American federal subcontractor, the Federal Republic, and our federation after the so-called American Civil War, and kept them on the run for decades. For over 160 years, they have impersonated you and substituted themselves as your American government. And they've gotten away with it. Why? Because you weren't here, according to them. According to them, our American government just disappeared after 1861. That is what they told the rest of the world. Based on this big lie, they claimed emergency powers for themselves and pretended to be our trustees and custodians in our absence. In so doing, they stole control of our government. You, your identity, your assets, your credit, and your land, everything. They took over your identity like any common credit card hacker, and the colluding banks let them have access to your credit. They've been spending you into the poorhouse ever since. Every time either one of these colluding foreign subcontractors declares bankruptcy, they pass their debts on to you and your kids. Their national debt gets loaded off onto you, even though you already paid it. Remember all those Federal Reserve notes that are IOUs? Every time you gave them goods and services in exchange for their IOUs, they got something for nothing. So, of course, their national debt grew exponentially because all the goods and services you contributed never got credited. The books were never balanced. They made it look like we owed this huge debt, when in fact, we already paid in goods and services. To add injury to insult, they charged us interest on this phony national debt without one whisper about our national credit. The crookedness and malfeasance of both parent corporations, the USA Inc. and the US Inc., and their commercial banks speaks for itself. Well, honey, we're home, no longer absent, no longer in interregnum, as they told the world. Our states are now in session. We established claims against the phony government beginning in 1998 based on what we did know at that point. But what we learned in 2001 came as a total shock. When learning on his mother's deathbed that our very own James Clinton Belcher was the hereditary head of state for the Federation of States, DBA, the United States of America of 1776, that news was overwhelming. We had to come to terms with the fact that in order to restore our rightful American government, the lineage of the members of the Federation of States have to muster the courage to come out of hiding. As the head of state on November 4th, 2015, James Clinton Belcher issued new sovereign letters patent and a joint declaration of sovereignty with the native nations of the Athabascans and Lakota Sioux. As the Federation of States regrouped, James Clinton Belcher, holding the only summoning authority as the head of state, called the States of the Union into session on June 29, 2017, for the first time in over 150 years. The Federation of States, DBA, the United States of America Unincorporated, has leaned the phony government, the foreign United States Governmental Services Corporations, for breach of contract and fraud. On behalf of the American people, we have chartered a new bilateral banking system and established new trade and merchant banks to serve you and return assets and credit you are owed. We monetized commercial liens and cashed in bonds owed to our government for the initial funding. We are now getting to the enforcement regarding the private family trusts, the Villa and St. Germain trust funds, and are just beginning the process of recoupment of credit and other restitutions owed. We have reclaimed your American birthright inheritance, your identity, your credit, your gold, and your land assets for you. Your inheritance of rights and assets is now waiting for you to claim. So now, do you want to know what you can do about this 160-year-old criminal fraud scheme that has been perpetrated against you? Rise up out of bondage servitude and declare your birthright inheritance as an American state national and claim your prosperity account. Your actual American government, the Republican form of government you are guaranteed, is being peaceably restored. The Federation of States is holding your inheritance until you come claim it. Contact your local American State Assembly at the link below or at the menu tab above to respond to this international public notice. We know this may sound hard to believe, so refer to the detailed research at claimyourinheritance.info/research and get educated about this hidden American history to know why you need to correct your political status so you can claim your birthright inheritance. One final word. What's owed to you isn't welfare. What's owed to you is an inheritance and a restitution. Number one, for the use of your assets. Number two, for bills you were charged that you never owed, including mortgages. Number three, for payment for your own natural resources like gas and oil and timber that you paid full price for. And number four, for abuse you suffered as fines and fees and taxes that you didn't owe, and your parents didn't owe, and grandparents didn't owe, and your great-grandparents didn't owe. Welcome home.